In this video, you will learn how to install WOODHAVEN planks on a ceiling with a slope greater than 10 degrees. There are unique requirements that will need to be followed in order to properly install your plank ceiling. If your ceiling has a slope of less than 10 degrees, please follow the instructions that are found in the carton or on our website. This installation will use the clips and screws that are provided in the WOODHAVEN plank carton. Please pause the video here to review the additional hardware and tools you'll need for this installation. Keep the following requirements in mind before beginning your project. Cartons should be opened 2 to 3 days prior to the install to allow the planks to adjust to room conditions. This will also make mixing planks from multiple cartons easier during the installation. Ceilings longer than 21 feet in length will need an expansion joint. This joint is a gap between the ends of the planks that allow the ceiling to naturally expand and contract. It can be covered with decorative molding. Quarter-inch gaps should be added around the perimeter of all light fixtures or obstructions. Furring strips are required when using the included hardware in order to level your ceiling. WOODHAVEN planks should only be installed in a climate-controlled area. The installation should start at the bottom of the ceiling, and you will work your way up to the peak. Planks should be installed horizontally. Planks should not be installed vertically on a sloped ceiling if more than a single plank length is required. To begin, fasten a furring strip to the bottom of the rafter where the ceiling meets the bottom wall. Rafters run from the bottom of the ceiling to the peak. If you have an existing drywall ceiling, you will need to pre-mark these rafters using a chalk line and stud finder. The first set of furring strips will be installed horizontally or perpendicular to the rafters every 4 feet until you get to the top of the peak. Fasten the last furring strip about 2 inches from the peak. If the rafters are not even, the furring strips must be shimmed. If the furring strips are not long enough to span the room, they must be butted together. The butt joints must occur under a rafter, and both ends must be double nailed or screwed to the rafter. Once the first set of furring strips are in place, install a second layer of furring strips perpendicular to the first set. The second layer of furring strips must be spaced 16 inches to 24 inches apart. This is where you will attach the WOODHAVEN plank hardware to support the planks. With the furring strips installed, cut a piece of wood to make a starter strip and fasten it to the wall. Cut it at an angle so it fits against the wall and the bottom is parallel to the plane of the ceiling. The bottom edge of the starter strip should be flush with the finished face of the ceiling. Measure the straight line distance from the bottom of the ceiling to the top. Determine the width of the border planks so the bottom plank and the top plank are equal. Stretch a string from one end wall to the other to use as a guide for cutting the first row of planks. Cut off the tongue sides of the plank so that your first plank is the correct width. Review this example to help you complete your calculations. This example is also found in the installation instructions, which are available online. If your ceiling is divided by existing beams that are less than 7 feet apart, leave a 3/8 inch gap at either end. Longer runs of planks require the 3/4 inch gap at both ends. The installation of the planks should start at the bottom. Remember to cut in all light fixtures and air returns as you install the planks. Lift the first plank into place and butt the cut tongue edge against the starter strip. A single screw or nail can be used to support the cut edge. It should be covered by a trim of your choice later in the installation. Place a clip into the groove side of the plank where it intersects each furring strip. If multiple planks are needed for your first row, follow these steps for each plank except for removing the tongue on the short edge of the plank. Remember to leave an expansion gap between the end of the plank and the wall. When you start the second row of planks, cut the tongue off the short edge and continue installing the planks with clips and screws as you did in the first row. When you finish the second row, consider using the cut-off piece of plank to begin the next row. Continue with these steps until you reach the top of the slope. The top row of planks should be cut so it ends 1 inch from the peak. If the top groove of the plank is cut off, the provided clip cannot be used. Use a single nail or screw, similar to the first plank, to hold the top edge in place until trim is installed. If you have lights or air returns in your ceiling, leave a 1/4 inch gap around the fixture. Most lighting fixture trim rings should cover this small gap. Repeat these steps on the opposite side of the room. With both sides of the ceiling complete, determine the size of the divider at the top. You will not know what size to cut this piece until the plank reaches the top. The size depends on the angle of the ceiling and the width of the trim molding you use to cover the peak. The planks should not meet each other at the peak. A divider is required due to the natural movement of a house. In this illustration, the divider is fitted to a peak without a ridgepole. Cut the piece to fit the detail in your ceiling. Cover the gap with molding. In addition to the gap at the top, cover all perimeter expansion gaps with the trim of your choice. Do not nail through the plank while installing the trim. Doing so would keep the planks from properly expanding and contracting. For additional installation support, contact our Tech Line team with questions.